Hey and welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to look at how to add some test objects into our scene and to then just do a viewport render to double check if the track is perfect. The reason we do this is sometimes when you do a playback in the viewport, you might not get like a real-time frame rate, so it might be a little bit stuttering and you won't be able to see if the track works perfectly or not. And doing a viewport render will just ensure that you can view it in real time and make sure that your track is perfect. So before we do that, I just want to show you in the outliner here on the side, you will see that Blender automatically created these two collections, a foreground collection and also a background collection. I don't really use this. I think it's a bit confusing. So I'm going to go ahead and delete both these collections. So let's click on the background collection, press X to delete it. Click on the foreground collection, press X to delete that as well. And here in the top, you can also see these view layers here. I usually just delete them as well. And you need one. So this background, I'm simply just going to rename to scene. So yeah, just make sure you've got one layer here at the top. You can name it anything you want. And I think it's just easier to work with tracking without all these collections. So next you will also see that your footage is the opacity is not looking right. So let's fix that quick. So click on the camera in the outliner to select the camera. And then if you go to the camera settings here on the right hand side, expand background images, just click on that to expand it. And then if you scroll down, you will see the opacity slider and just slide that up all the way to 1. And you can see that our image is looking much better now. If we play this back, you can see we've got our plane in there as well. So go back to the first frame and I'm just going to duplicate this plane and kind of move it around the scene so that we can double check if our track is working perfectly. So click on the plane to select it, then press Shift D to duplicate it, and then press Y because we only want to move it in the Y axis or on the Y axis. So I'm going to move it to this corner right here. And now I want to move it on the X axis so we can place it on this corner right here. So press GX and then move it so it's kind of matching the corner of the building right there. We can maybe move it a little bit on the Y axis, so GY, and then just kind of put it on the edge of that building. Let's scrub through and see what's happening. That is looking pretty good. You can see it's matching that location. So maybe let's add one more. I'm going to duplicate this plane, Shift D, and then X to move it on the X axis. I'm going to place it on the corner right here, and then I'm going to move it on the Y, so GY, move it backwards. You can hold in Shift to do some fine adjustments. Click there and let's just scrub through. And remember, you don't want to move this up and down. You only want to move it Y and X, on the Y and the X axis, because they're already on the floor. So that's why we don't want to move them up and down, because that will just break it. So now you can see that we have these three planes in our scene, and now I want to render this just from the viewport so we have something to look at in real time. So I'm going to go to my output properties here on the side, the little printer icon, and then we want to set a output folder. So I'm going to click on this folder and just browse to a location where I want to place this. So I'm going to place this inside the course folder, and I'm just going to create a folder here and call it viewport render. Let's go in there, and I'm just going to call this test, or test 1. Click on accept, and now we just need to set up what type of file we want to render. So I want to render a FFmpeg video, which is just going to be an MP4. So if you scroll down to encoding, you can change the container, change this to MPEG-4 because we want to create an MP4 file, and the quality, you can leave it on medium quality, but I'm going to put mine on high quality for now, and I think that should be good enough. Now simply go to view here above the viewport, and then we're going to click on viewport render animation. So click on that, and it's going to quickly just run through all those files because it's just rendering from the viewport. And once that's done, press escape. And now we can go to that folder where we exported that clip, open it up, and just look at it in real time. And now we can see exactly that our track is, or the planes are actually sticking to our footage. You can scrub through it as well and just make sure everything is tracking. And as you can see, these planes are being tracked into the scene quite well. They're not sliding around. You can see them, they're matching with the perspective. Everything is looking perfect. Now obviously if you got some bad results here, then you know your track is not good. So then I will suggest that you go back, add more trackers, or maybe delete some of the bad trackers, resolve your track, and just try and get a better tracking score basically. Alright, so once you are happy with your track, go ahead and save your project, and I will see you in the next lesson.